Abraham Lincoln was quoted as saying the internet is really tough.
Holding his dachshund.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the fuck? And I've actually went on some Facebook feeds but people get all worked up about it. And I'm like, did you all even Google this before you started reposting it?
Right.
Because there's no validity to these accusations at all. And now I think you're seeing it contribute to all sorts of movements, like the Me Too movement. I think you see people, as soon as the accusation is placed on them, they are immediately ruled guilty.
Yes.
By society. Society being represented in social media.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no harsher judicial system on the planet, either conceived or dreamed of, than social media. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. I may have jumped to the wrong conclusion.
I think you may have taken that a little far.
Okay. Well, all right. Yes.
I'm pretty sure somebody.
You're listening to Slightly Uncomfortable. Are you ready?
We're the monk on the hill.
God, Jesus.
We're like the Pope.
You know what I think of you two?
It's a funny little hat.
I've got a hat you all should wear.
Yeah, it's mine. Mm-hmm. You fucker.
Remind me to give you a chip back. Because I don't want anything to happen to it. I'm just waiting for the kid to sit on it or something. All right, so welcome to Slightly Uncomfortable. We've got a full house tonight.
Well, sort of.
We've got myself and...
Myself.
Yeah, God, Jesus. And
Alex.
all right, see, that may be the worst opening that he's done. Most of the time, he's verbally fucking the microphone every time he introduces himself, and he just goes, Alex, a Cookie Monster or something. We're going to do a show tonight about social media. We really found out that the value of social media and how you can advertise and how you can get word of mouth out there so quickly.
How we can post shit and nobody responds, that kind of thing.
It's crazy. People will private message me, and I'm like, there's a website, there's a Facebook page. If you post that, then other people will see it. No one else can see my private message.
Thankfully.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, in that regard, it's not bad, but on the other ones, you don't want to look.
No.
You don't want to. If you look at my phone, you don't want to swipe right or left. If you're looking at a picture, anyway. So the way I did some research because I do all the show prep and.
Yeah.
The other two just show up and look pretty.
Because we don't need to.
Both of them failing at it miserably.
We are the talent.
Well, at least one of them.
Oh.
How did social media start? Internet relay chats, or IRCs, were the first used in 1988 and continued to be popular well into the 90s. The first recognizable social media site, 6 Degrees, was created in 1997. It enabled users to upload profiles and make friends with other users. Boys, do you think that's accurate or not?
I think IRC came a little late. I think I would have to go back to BBS's.
All right. If you use acronyms to normal people, we don't know what the fuck that means.
Bulletin board systems.
Okay, see, that helps me.
They were, before there was such a thing as, before there was widespread use of the internet, people would dial up another computer with a modem, and that computer ran one of a variety of bulletin board system applications, and essentially it was threaded conversations. Threaded forums is what we call them today.
Now, was it just for geeks for the
No.
most part? I mean,
No, they're
because my first social media was AOL. Where you had the dial-up connection, and it would take you 25 minutes to download.
Yeah,
a
these
JPEG.
were direct numbers you dialed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you had to you'd find out what that number was because your buddy passed it on to you along with a floppy that had the.
Oh, I don't need.
Yeah,
I do not need
sometimes they had
my
clients.
Yeah.
I do not need my buddy to pass me along a floppy.
But
You keep your floppy to yourself, boys.
I guess the BBSs started in what 82, 83.
Or I guess it might have been. At that point it was probably a cassette tape because it went on your Amiga.
Right. But long about 85 or 86, these things started networking themselves together. So you could run a system with 2 modems on it. One is taking calls for people to communicate on this forum. The other one is dialing out to send your response to the 60 other people.
So it's a fancy version of the ham radio,
Yeah.
just not in real time. I mean, it was
yeah.
there was delays.
Yeah.
Whereas with
Yeah.
ham radio, you're putting your voice out there, and
And-
whoever's going to respond responds.
And sometimes you would be,
And is there anything
You would know what
creepier
those updates
than the
are.
ham radio?
oh,
I mean, really?
why
I
is
mean,
it creepy? Why is
it's
a
just-
ham radio creepy?
I don't need to have possibly a nude man talking to me from a country away, because I don't know if there's any chicks on the ham radio. You know, I'm just saying it just seems awful.
How's that different from that girl you're chatting with on the internet?
Hey, she's in my
Otherwise-
area, fucker. don't you criticize my dating techniques.
In your area.
And she's in my area.
Yeah.
She pops up all the time when I go to those websites.
First name is Anastasia.
No, it's normally named after a spice or a car.
Oh, okay.
Cinnamon or Porsche.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That seems like the underbelly of social media, the non-pretty part. I
The
mean,
early days.
honestly, probably the big social media platform that I recall, and I'm not a geek, is MySpace was probably one of the biggest ones. AOL was big because it had the chat rooms and it had the groups and stuff, but it was rather arduous to get in there, and I don't think people really knew what they were doing. They got on there because the geeks weren't on AOL.
Right. We were on CompuServe or Prodigy.
Right. So I was on AOL just trying to, I would get a dirty picture, I thought, and it'd take 5 minutes to download the JPEG file, and I'm like, ooh, I think that's nope, that's not. Oh, that's a man. Okay, I just spent 5 minutes of my day to look at a dude. Okay, move on.
Probably already rubbed one out while he's waiting in anticipation.
Don't you judge me. Don't you judge.
I think one big difference though with those older ones, and maybe we'll get into this as far as what actually kind of changed with what we call social media now, though, was the fact that in the older stuff, you went looking and you had to hunt to find people
That's
you
true.
were looking for. Right. You had to like make your connections. You had to find the groups that you matched with, all that kind of stuff. Whereas now it's kind of turned around where it's in the company's best interest to help you find those people. So
Yeah.
they start pointing you in the direction and connecting you actively, as opposed to like you having to go do it yourself.
That's absolutely true. Whether it's the IRC groups or the bulletin board systems, each channel with IRC or each BBS was targeted to a certain interest. And even within there, you would have the sub-interests, but you had to seek them out. Today, and we'll get into what some of these other, the latest outfits do, but today they will target you based on things you have searched for
Oh
before.
yeah, you can do a Google search, and then go to your Facebook page and see ads for it.
Yeah.
And I think that creeps a lot of people out, as it should. But you got to
Marketing.
know if you do something on the computer, you're not alone.
Yeah.
So, one of the biggest social media sites I think that we're all familiar with, you can talk about the BBCs or the
BBSs.
TBSs or the whatever the case may be.
WGNs.
Whatever fucking acronym, I don't know what it means. But the biggest one, the big elephant in the room is Facebook.
Yep.
And so I found some interesting facts, at least I thought they were interesting about Facebook, and just see the total reach of this social media platform. Facebook still rules the social media world and is consolidating its dominance on lots of levels. Sheer size, social advertising, spend, and dominating the mobile screens are just a few. Here's some facts about social media. Facebook has over 1.49 billion monthly active users. Billion. Revenues hit $4.4 billion for the last quarter, and that was just 2005. Imagine what it's doing in 2019. For the first time, Facebook had 1 billion users log on in one day. Mobile-only monthly activity users now reach over 655 million people. Mobile advertising revenue is at 76% of its total earnings. That's crazy. But everybody's on it.
And I think those numbers are telling a different story, too, beyond what we're talking about. Seeing that shift from the PC users
To the mobile.
toward mobile users. That may be a conversation for another show.
But we talked
But it-
about how technology has pushed cellular devices.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, when cellular devices first came out, they were trying their best to take it from the bag phone to the smallest possible hardware.
Yeah.
And now with the introduction of the internet and porn,
The proliferation of porn.
yeah, then you're seeing phones get bigger and bigger because now people are using their devices like that pretty much for a laptop.
Yep.
Out of a place of a laptop. So what do you guys think are the major players in social media? And we can drill down a little bit more. Obviously, Facebook, yes.
Twitter.
Twitter,
YouTube.
YouTube. I think you look at Instagram. Has a
Pinterest.
Well, Instagram has now got the influencers, which they are actually paid people because they have so many likes and followers on Instagram. They are paid to go and advertise or just visit someplace, take pictures, and the people that are paying them will just want them to show up. You know, I've heard of influencers coming to town, and I mean, I think probably Kardashians are a bit like that. We just heard it in the news about the two ladies that got busted for paying to get their kids put in universities. The two
Oh, yeah.
stars, Felicia Huffman and Aunt
Hoffman.
I don't know. I don't know her name.
Yeah.
She was on
I thought one of them was a
Desperate
Hoffman.
Housewives, and then one of them was
I thought
Aunt
that was
Becky.
one of your favorites.
One of them was Aunt Becky, who is hot to this day from Growing Pains. Not Growing Pains. What was it? Full House. She was, but her daughter, who she's paid $500,000 to get into USC, and then spent $300,000 on her tuition. Her job is a social influencer.
Way to go.
Yeah, I mean, money well spent, right?
I guess.
And she's famous for posting that she's not going to go to class, even though her mother paid $500,000 to say she was part of the rowing team, so she got a scholarship. I don't get all that. We won't get into all that noise, but you're starting to see that people are getting paid for their activity on social media.
Now,
And Pinterest, I think, is huge, like
Yeah.
you said.
it is. It connects.
I don't believe that it's huge as far as communication going back and forth, but it absolutely is huge for research purposes and for people posting
finding
ideas.
groups like their
Right.
own, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So one thing about Instagram too, of course, the fact that it belongs to
Facebook, yeah.
So they talking about how big they are.
Doesn't
that's a big
Snapchat as
piece of
well?
it. You know, I don't know about Snapchat, but Snapchat, I was going to say that's the other one that I'm aware of really heavily because my teenage kids use it very extensively. I mean, you should see the data usages on their phones, and it's primarily sending pictures as their sole form of communication.
All right, so now, and I know your kids, and you have no worry in regards to this, but in your all's thoughts, I mean, we understand the platform of Snapchat is to have communication that goes away, that there's no record of, supposedly.
Bullshit.
But, well, that also to where if you're a teenager and your parent gets your phone, they can't see anything that you've sent. That's the allure for children, for teenagers, is there is no way for a parent to look at that phone and see. They can see who you've communicated with, but they have no idea what was said or what was sent, regardless of whether it's a picture or verbal communication or written. So as a parent, and I've got younger kids than Alex does, that's the last program I want to see on that fucking phone.
Yeah.
Because that's the program that I can't do anything about. Because
You know,
once it's sent, it's gone.
I-
The only reason for that program is to have communications not trackable. Because you can communicate via text. You can communicate via Twitter, via Facebook, via YouTube, well, all the rest of them.
You know, I mean,
But it's trackable.
So I get that to some degree. At the same time, it's like, you know, all the communications when we were kids were not trackable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like everything we said to our friends, everything we did with them,
But we
that
weren't
was not
sending
really
dick pics
trackable.
either when we were kids. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I wasn't. I made up for time. You're a friend of me on Snapchat. Just saddle up, boys.
Just don't.
I'm gonna hit a wrong button at some point. Sorry about that.
Where's
Root.
that? Where's that?
Oh, yeah.
Where's that unfriend button?
But you know that's one of the social media things that really concern me.
I'm going to have to talk to some of my buddies just to see if those images are forensically recoverable on a phone.
Well, it's fine to be Florence, whatever you said. It's fine. That's fine. But I'm talking about it as a parent and your
Right.
child. If it's an adult
More power
texting
to
an
you.
adult, who cares? Who gives a
Right.
shit? Adults are consenting if they're getting into something like that. But my problem is an adult going to a child.
Well, but if
And unless there's a court of law involved, and it has to get pretty damn deep to get these type of individuals, if they can recover this data,
Right.
to be able to do so. By that time, damage is already done.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's part of adult or parenting now.
Yeah.
Right? I've had to have those conversations with my kids to say, like, understand, here's where the boundaries are. Here's legal ramifications, and what it could actually mean to you and us.
And
right?
there's not just for the sexual part of it, but for cyberbullying,
Right.
and things like that. That's another platform that a lot of people that are going to do bad things use, because Facebook, you can recover the messages easily. It's not hard. Same way with Twitter. There's always a record of Twitter. That's why politicians are getting fucked all the time from what they tweeted 5 years ago.
literally and figuratively.
So what just liking something on Twitter can be the demise of some politicians, or you can be elected president. But I digress.
Or a senior senator from Kentucky.
Right. That's exactly right. Being a turtle. So some Twitter facts. 316 million users are on Twitter. 500 million tweets per day. % of active users are on mobile devices.
Yeah.
4,100 employees work for Twitter. 50% of the employees are actually engineers. And they say that Twitter ended up being a technology experiment that went awry. And that's how we came up with Twitter. Now, I'll be honest. I use most social media, and I do have a Twitter account. I don't get it. I don't get the allure of Twitter. Maybe you all can explain it to me. But it seems like to me it's a one-way communication that can turn to two-way. But primarily you follow people and you retweet tweets that were tweeted. And I don't know why you would do that.
The entire term hashtag came from Twitter. And it can be group conversations based on those hashtags. You just follow the hashtag instead of the person.
Right. And you can do a search per hashtag.
Well, and
you can do all kinds
they've
of shit
extended
now.
the capabilities for threading.
Yes,
and
yes.
And,
Yeah, they
and they've
have.
extended the size. That's one of its key things is also the messages are limited in size.
Right, but they doubled that recently. haven't
yeah.
they?
Was it
Yeah.
doubled or just up to 240?
Well, I think it was 146 to
Oh,
240.
it was 120 before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking 180.
But
That's doubled.
I mean, it's
math.
because of course, because its origins were actually not in the pure social media form. They were actually texting.
Right.
That was how it actually started until it turned into a web app. Honestly, Twitter's actually my primary social media.
What do you use it for?
As you know, I hate Facebook.
Shocking.
I avoid
Again,
it.
as I mentioned before, these two are the smartest men I've known, and that tells you a lot about who I run around with. But there is no active way to communicate with you sons of bitches at all.
Hey, I have a telegraph at the house.
I could probably fax both of you fuckers. That would be the closest way to do it. Maybe send you something on the dot matrix. I don't know.
No, that involves a printer. I
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah, so what do you use Twitter for? Is it for news? Do you actually communicate with other people?
It's true. I probably don't communicate that much. Although I think
At all,
I think
to anyone.
I think most people don't use Facebook that much for communication either. It's mostly about reading sources and maybe resharing or that kind of thing, which is pretty much the same thing too.
Right.
There's very little of people actually sharing their own individual lives anymore on Facebook. There's far
there's a
more
lot of
about
that.
content that people have created and stuff like
Right.
that. So I do occasionally, I'll go through little spurts of sharing stuff that's relevant professionally and stuff like that. My primary use is actually professional.
He's a gigolo. So that's really how he
Exactly.
gets his voice out.
Well,
have scarf, will fuck.
That's when you want the communications to be one way.
Or not. Don't judge.
You're not here to speak, sir.
So,
I'm sorry.
So
I
yeah.
just defaulted to sir. It could be ma'am. It could be ma'am. Then again.
So it's primarily to see what's going on in the various kind of areas that I care about.
Right.
Professional, and I have a few friends on there, those kinds of things. But for the most part, it's watching people's conversations.
So, Root, do you tweet? Are you a twatter?
Boy,
Tweeter-
that
Tweeter?
just went weird.
I don't know.
That went weird.
I don't know the lingo.
No, you don't. Yes, I do have a Twitter account. I use it mostly for breaking news events
Right.
because I tend to trust the people on the ground who are tweeting about something.
But
more
again,
than
we've
the
touched on
media
this
might.
before. I mean, do you trust the people on the ground after seeing the tornado reaccounts from Eastern Kentucky?
If
You know-
I see 50 different people saying the tornado came over the same hill,
That
yeah,
sound like a railroad or a
it sounds like
car?
a freight train. Yeah.
All right.
Makes me wonder if they've ever heard a real
They
freight
haven't.
train.
They haven't. So,
But yeah,
so you use it mainly for news.
mostly to see what the real people are thinking about things. I also use Facebook for.
No, we're
family
not talking about
friends
Facebook.
and-
We're talking about Facebook in a minute. Damn it! Follow the path here.
No, I don't use Twitter at all, fucker.
Now he's going to be an anarchist. Imagine that.
I don't have a right shirt on for
No,
that.
I just haven't seen the allure of Twitter. I find it difficult. I find it disjointed. Just to go through a feed. And I mean, I have a Twitter account as well, and I follow folks. I think in my life I've tweeted 75 times. I just don't understand putting it out there for the masses to see because I've put a hashtag or something on there, and I'm hoping to get some likes and some retweets from people whom I probably don't even know.
Most likely you won't.
I mean, I don't. That's not an allure for me. That's not that I'm attracted to. I see the value in it from a commercial standpoint, from an advertisement standpoint. I get it, and I've also heard that it's one of the best mediums to use if you're going to complain about a company.
Oh,
if
yeah.
If you've tried the customer service support and they've not been responsive, get on there and light them up on social media, especially on Twitter, and you will get an immediate and visual response because they have people following the social media accounts and they don't want to be blown up in that manner.
Just don't do it to Wendy's.
Why?
The people running Wendy's Twitter account will eat you alive.
Dave Thomas has got a band of soldiers
Oh,
on his
my
Twitter
God.
feed.
They are.
So,
They're badass.
so one thing I have found Twitter. Like I say, I use it for professionally, and I'm pretty like if I find that somebody uses their Twitter account as primarily some way of being a social justice warrior,
Right.
I'm probably gonna unfollow them because that's not why I'm there.
Yeah.
But the one of the things I found really useful is if I follow several people who are in a particular kind of area, and they may, when you work in a particular, in a specialization of a field, these people live all over the country and around the world. They aren't necessarily talking to each other, but when you see the same thing mentioned by two or three of them, you know that there's something going on in the zeitgeist of your industry or of your, what you need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, and when I mentioned the news, I also follow a lot of the network engineers around the world, and so when you see some of these guys talking about network down here, network down there, and then you can start seeing
A pattern.
emerge. It's been several years ago now since the last big one, but Electronic Arts released a new game called Battlefield 1.
Yep.
And when the beta for that thing dropped, gamers were going to Twitter trying to figure out why the fuck the catalogs wasn't loading for a variety of games. Battlefield 1 crushed Sony's network because everybody was trying to get on, what is that, the PlayStation? Is that Sony?
Yeah, Sony's PlayStation.
Yeah. So everybody's trying to
Finally,
get on.
something about technology I could chime in about.
Everybody's trying to get on PlayStation to play whatever, and they couldn't because BF1 crushed it the day that it launched. So yeah, I'm right there with Scarfman Alex on that.
Maybe that's just why I'm not interested in it because I don't really want to follow things. I do my profession when I'm getting paid for it. In off hours, I don't want to hear a fucking thing about it. I have a job, not necessarily a profession, I guess. And honestly, I really enjoy talking about different things and sports and bourbon and all that sort of stuff, but I don't get on social media for any of those things because I live that anyway, and I get on social media for a respite from my life, not to be part of my life.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I'm not drawn to Twitter.
Perhaps.
And plus, I also don't like cowardly ways of interacting with people. You know, I don't like the anonymity of it because I think people grow a big set of balls
No, of course
on
they do.
Twitter because nobody knows who you are. You know, you put a face with that comment and those comments go away. So that's one of the things that kind of repulses me about Twitter is you can set up a phony account like that.
You can set up a phony account anywhere.
It's
Well,
also,
you can,
it's also
but-
really easy to unfollow on Twitter as opposed to in Facebook. You might actually now. Granted, I actually think on Facebook people are just as bad.
Oh, I agree.
Equally.
But
Yeah.
but there you actually yes you have it connected to a particular person and maybe you have some other reason need to stay connected with them or whatever.
But when you say
but-
unfollow, we can reference back a bit to Facebook. Is I hear people all the time say that I don't like their political posts or their religious posts, so I unfollow them. I'm like, why the fuck don't you defriend them? If you're not going to see what they're doing, if you don't want to see that, why the hell are you attached to them? You know, I'm sorry, and I have actually on Facebook especially, I will message somebody and go, you know what? I want to let you know I'm defriending you. And this is the reason why. Has nothing to do with you. This is not what I'm on Facebook for. I've done that for people selling fucking Scentsy. You know, I don't go on to Facebook and go, you know, I've got $27 in my pocket. I wonder if somebody can tell me what I can buy with that.
Right.
You know, I don't want to see all religious posts and I don't want to see all political. Now, if there's a balance to that, all right, that's what people are. People are about a balance. But if all you use that platform for is one specific purpose and you're trying to influence me, we're not going to be friends on there.
Yeah.
You know,
I've said for years that any kind of online apparatus that has a thing called friending, if I choose to push that button under your name, doesn't make us friends. Means
you-
I'm interested in what you're publishing.
You've told me that a lot. Just because we do a podcast together doesn't mean we're friends.
Although
In high school, I'm wearing his class ring.
he won't say where.
So now that we've kind of breached the Facebook thing, now I think we're all involved on Facebook on different levels. Alex being one extreme and being almost totally disengaged, and say why that is.
well
Because
I mean,
obviously you're engaged on Twitter.
yeah. I think it has just gotten far too much of exactly what I was saying. Like, it's not people sharing themselves, not really. And there was way too much. When I really shut down with it was the election because I was just like sick of it. It was like there was way too much of the just like I thought it fed way too much into what ultimately happened.
So you thought it was too much of an influence?
I thought it was an influence, and it was just far too much actually fed into the divide of the people I was seeing on there. That besides that, it made me mad every time I read it. I would be like,
But didn't the
it
election-
was this just constant barrage and stream.
But
of
I've
stuff
known
that,
you
like,
far before the 2016 election, and it wasn't like you were firing up people's Facebook feeds
no,
before that.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, it kept you from doing 3 posts instead of none.
So around the election,
A year.
I found myself more involved and engaged with it than I ever had been, and
not in a positive
and it
way.
was always in a negative way. It would draw me in, and they would. I mean, they do everything they can on. If you've got the mobile app on your phone, they do everything they can to pull you back in,
Yeah.
because eyes on screens is how they get paid.
Clicks.
And so that, like I say, within a week of the election, I uninstalled it. So I don't have Facebook on my phone.
We know. We try to message you on there.
I have Messenger. I actually do have Messenger so that I can.
Doesn't work.
I don't know. I didn't.
Again,
I didn't.
technology,
I
guys.
didn't. I didn't
don't know
see,
why I didn't get
I
that.
didn't see any notifications. Again,
I
okay,
send you screenshots.
Guess what? I get to choose my inboxes.
Oh, and I'm not on the list. Now it's come home.
Oh no, I mean how I get those.
oh. All right,
and how I prioritize them.
So, Root, what's your involvement? What do you
I-
find yours to be?
I joined Facebook back in the day because of political involvement.
In the year of our Lord 19, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something way back then. And that really ramped up, and to the point that I was part of more than several, probably, campaigns that used Facebook as a way to communicate with folks in other regions, folks in other states, for, depending on the level of the campaign.
So you're using it for an influence.
No,
Well, if you're campaigning on Facebook, that's an influence.
no, because we had private groups. It was more organizational.
All right, so you were communicating within the organization. You weren't posting things to your feed in reference to that.
Sometimes I would. Sometimes I would. And in some elections, I was the guy that Alex here would have kicked, and probably you too, would have kicked out. But, I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
I've already had more reasons than that to kick you off my feed.
But
Unfollow.
after the, what was the, let me see, the 2014 cycle, all the elections, I said, fuck that. And I haven't gotten, I've stayed in some of the groups because I enjoy just communicating with the people.
Right.
But as has been evident throughout a lot of our shows, I'm done with this party game in the political world, and that's all it is anymore. Nobody exchanges any ideas or anything like that.
Well, it's not about ideas.
Right. It's about faces. It's about personalities. It's about
It's Game of Thrones.
letters after your name.
It's game.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
game. Now,
And throat punching the other side.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
attempting to. Yeah. And that
While you're doing the exact same damn thing.
yeah. And that's not why I got into that.
So what about on the social side?
Family, and some folks I've also met in the military community that I never thought I'd see again, right? So I've got a few of those folks around, and then the folks that they know, and the very nature of social media kind of brings like-minded folks together, and we have our own little private groups.
Right.
But so far as just trolling the feed or trying to find new people, no, fuck that.
See, since you mentioned that, I really wish Lloyd was here tonight. Because when you think of internet trolls, one Lloyd comes to mind. I have been his friend for over 25 years, and he got on social media at the same time that I did. Now, I'm active on social media, and I'm not afraid to say that. And I'll talk about a little bit of how I'm active on that.
I didn't know Twitter or Tinder was social media.
Oh, it's social if I'm lucky. Well, it's just like your grinder.
Oh,
only different.
okay. Yeah, okay.
But
And for what it's worth, I think those actually do fall in that category.
I believe you're
They-
right.
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I do think they cross over.
Yeah.
Because there are actually people on those mediums that just want to make friends and make connections.
On Grindr, we definitely cross over.
I'm sure you do. Jesus Christ. But Lloyd, in his lifetime, has probably made 50 Facebook posts.
Wow.
He is the ultimate Facebook troll.
No, wait. That's not the definition of troll.
No, he's hitting up everybody's feed, looking at every picture and everything that they make.
That's a lurker.
That's a lurker.
All right, lurker.
That's
Lurker.
a
No, he's
lurker.
not trolling. You're right.
Yeah.
I misused that term. But he is absolutely a lurker. He will send me a post and tell me to post it. And I'm like, dude,
That's not how this
if
works.
you need me to teach you how to make a Facebook post, I will. But no, but now going back to what I use Facebook for is I really don't have that much family, so I'm not going to use that as an excuse. My 93-year-old father is not liking my memes that I put on Facebook.
You need to get your dad on Facebook.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh,
Because
yes, we
he's
do.
enough of a pervert without the use of social media. But I honestly use it for me as a respite. If I just need to detach something to look at as a distraction. And that's why I get very frustrated when people make posts that bring my mood down. I don't know why people share some of the things they share.
I don't know what the hell people are doing in the fucking shitter. I mean, this is like the fifth reference today.
Not for
I've
me.
seen
Not
people
for me.
Twice from you.
I've only had 3 poops.
Twice
today.
from you.
I've only had 3 poops.
Well, you
today.
only talked about them twice, which
Morning,
is problem.
noon, and right before I left work.
Oh my god.
I play away games.
How is it that everybody wants to read something while they're taking a dump?
All right, it dates
You
back.
go
to when
in there
used
and
to-
you do your business. You get the fuck
It
out.
dates back to when you used to bring the newspaper in. We used to have magazines sitting next to the crapper.
And I didn't understand it then.
Well, you're weird.
No.
Alex, do you read on the crapper?
Sure.
Oh my God.
See?
Well, I've been
You're
weird
the-
all my life.
You're
so
the
I'm-
vocal minority yet again.
Jesus H Christ.
But
Get in there, take your shit, wipe your ass, get up, leave.
this is not the topic we were looking for tonight.
Guess what's going on Facebook when I get home?
It just depends on if you have to poop. Because you're either a reader or a poster, but you're
Oh,
doing something on
Jesus.
social. But yeah, to me, Facebook, I really look at that to find people's just something that they post that's funny, that's thought provoking. But my God, I don't need to see about animal cruelty. I don't need to hear that shit. And really, my frustration with Facebook, especially now, because I've been on it its entire time, is it used to be people would come up with something funny and post it. Or they post pictures of their kids. That's fine. I've seen enough cats. They all look the fucking same to me. I don't need to see any more of your cats. But that's fine if you want to post that too. It's still sharing something that means something to you. But now all you do is see people resharing something that they found somebody that shared. There's so little original thought on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's not even attractive anymore because you see the same memes, the same GIFs,
Yeah.
the same JPEGs that you see all over the place. I'm like,
That was not smart.
that's just not what I'm on this for. So now I find myself far less active. And I will use the messenger side of it to talk to people that I'm connected with.
Yeah, like I say, that's the only part of it that I actually use.
Yeah. That does make it easier.
Unfortunately, when you live in a small town, that is the way that everybody wants to connect.
Yeah.
And so for things like community events and stuff like that, I have to keep my account just to be engaged with my community.
Well, we actually have a Facebook page for our show.
Yeah.
And that's been the most active that we've had anybody want to participate in. It's following that page. You know, Root created a website, slightlyuncomfortable.com. Please log on and register. That has gotten little to no activity.
Right.
Because people are on Facebook. So while they're in the area, it comes up on their news feed. It puts a trigger in their mind to say, I need to download the next show. Or I need to follow them. Or I need to comment or something like that. What are these boys up to? Websites don't have those triggers.
Yeah.
Right.
You
They-
know,
they can.
That's the
but we don't.
value of social media.
Yeah.
Is you get your name out there and find out a way for it to go into somebody's feed and continually browbeat them until they notice what you're doing. I think Facebook is fantastic, and I think it's horrible all in the same breath.
Yeah, I've met some really cool people there, and I'd mentioned before, if I friend you on social media, you're not really a friend.
He still has it.
But
It's pending.
My
My friendship is request is pending.
I've met folks in Facebook that I would go to war with. I mean, I'm meeting up with a bunch of them in Indy.
Creepy.
In a couple of weeks, and
Facebook or Grindr? Oh,
Damn,
I'm sorry. What did it
damn,
say?
I got him confused.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
He
sorry.
does it all the time.
Yeah, damn. All right. Anyway, moving on.
It helps with what
Oh,
you're
no,
planning on.
that's Fort Wayne for the leather community.
Need to plug in the right GPS for that event. You're going to pack totally different for each one of them, I'm afraid.
Or not, you know.
It's all about packing. So the third one, let's talk about YouTube.
Oh,
And I
love me
believe
some
we're
YouTube.
all three differently interacting with YouTube. So a few facts about YouTube. YouTube has been around since 2004. 2005, it was acquired by Google for $1.5 billion. This is when Facebook got started. Facebook is now on a mission to replace YouTube as the largest video platform on the planet. Here's some interesting YouTube facts to ponder. Over 1 billion users visit YouTube every day. Over 100 hours of video are uploaded every minute of every day. 25% of the views are from mobile devices. 6 billion hours of video are watched every month. This is the one wildest thing that I've found. More content is uploaded in 60 days on YouTube than all three major U.S. networks generated in the last 60 years.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
That is crazy.
Because it's simple. Anybody can post anything to YouTube, and I think the gaming world has a lot going there.
And the DIY or DIY.
Well,
Do
there's
it
something
yourself.
for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know
yeah.
DIY has been huge because if you type in how do I replace a washer in my faucet,
You'll find 60,000 different
the
ways
first
to do
three
it.
pages of Google, of course, it's also owned by Google, so that may have something to do with it, is YouTube videos of
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I have to say, I mean, I definitely go through periods where YouTube is actually my primary like video consumption, right?
Yeah.
Like I not watching TV, not watching streaming or Netflix or anything like that. It's YouTube because I found a set of channels that have stuff that are my special interest. And
Yeah, don't go to
that's
those
what I'm-
channels.
and that's what I'm watching. Or if there's something professional that I need to like brush up on, there's stuff on there.
Yeah.
There's every conference I ever would want to go to has posted videos of all their talks on there,
And sometimes live stream the event.
and sometimes live stream. So there's just so much there that you can tap into, and it's free.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that YouTube does so well is it's free. Now, that does have a paid subscription, and now it's starting to get into the market of almost like a
A cable channel.
cable channel.
They're getting a little obnoxious with the ads, but of course that was almost inevitable.
And just so that YouTube knows, if you're listening YouTube, when I'm watching a video and you interrupt midway through that video for an advertisement, I'm now not watching that video anymore. I will go on to another video.
Well, there's something to be said there for the content provider there as well, because they can choose to monetize
Right.
their video or not.
Right.
Now, YouTube is going to take a swipe at that anyway, but if
If
content,
they do it on bumpers, I'm fine with that. But don't interrupt
Yeah.
the flow of whatever I'm watching to
It-
put an ad in there.
and sometimes YouTube's going to stop and give you one of them stupid surveys, right?
Right.
But if a provider monetizes their video, oh my God, it's every 5 minutes.
And I know that's something that my 10-year-old son is on YouTube a lot. He will watch. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it. He will watch YouTube and watch someone playing a video game that he plays and talking through it while they're playing it.
Guilty as charged.
And I'm like, the fuck? I don't say that. 10 is 10.
I don't get that.
I don't. I'm like, you could be, and he owns that game, so he could physically be playing the game, but instead, he's watching someone play it and then hearing them talk about it. Although he did do his own YouTube channel,
Yeah.
for a school project, and he's really good at it. And I can sit there and listen to him because he's watched so much of it that he's got the cadence down and he can play it. And the way a child's mind works, they can multitask in a way that I can't multitask anymore with verbally and manual dexterity and following along with something. But I can see some fascination in that. For me, I watch YouTube for music. If I'm doing a playlist at work or something like that. I also use it for audiobooks because you can get a lot of audiobooks on there
I've used
free
it
of
for that
charge.
too. Yeah.
Not necessarily for podcasts, but
Although we are on YouTube.
we are on YouTube. We're on every platform known to man.
We are.
Yeah, and we're getting no followers on any of them.
None of them.
But I
None
mean,
of
at least we're out there.
We're out there. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'll listen to our shows. I mean, I will go. And a lot of times it's because I'm drunk. And so when I listen to the show, it's like I've never heard this before. And then I mark on the show what point I started slurring, you know. And so
So just kind of touching on what you were saying a minute ago, but it is interesting to me with YouTube that when we were kids, you wanted to grow up and be a rock star, and then I have some older kids, and they, all the kids, they wanted to be like a firefighter or something like that.
I wanted to be a truck driver
Or that.
until I found out what the fucking truck driver has to go through. Then I stopped that.
But now the
Sickles.
kids, the little kids, the younger kids, they want to be YouTubers.
Yeah.
That's their aspiration is I want to be a YouTuber.
And boys, there is money in it.
Yeah,
I
we
know-
can't make it.
I know a lot of guys, a lot of folks started streaming their gameplay to YouTube, and now that's what they do for a living.
It's crazy.
They're playing Battlefield 4, Battlefield 5, Battlefield 1. Sea of Thieves is a big streaming thing. Minecraft was huge.
I bet you World of Warcraft is still out there.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. It was very popular back in the day.
Yeah.
But I enjoy watching them play. It's my gig. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but what we're saying is, in any of the 3 social media platforms that we've covered, we all have different varied interest in it,
Yeah.
and that's what it's for, is to have something for everyone in the room to get something out of.
And there's one that we didn't mention. I just want to throw it out there.
Oh, and
since
there's
we're
other.
hitting
We'll
them.
cover.
Twitch.
What?
Twitch.
Yeah, that's for your type of people.
Twitch actually focuses on gamers.
Again,
So,
your type of people.
Hey, nothing wrong with gamers. Nothing wrong with them. What's wrong with gamers?
I don't need your high voice. It just you do you. You live your best life. All right. I mean,
Already am, man.
Yeah. So,
Already am.
I don't know that Twitch.
Twitch.com. Check it out. Free.
It's really big, actually.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge.
And that means I'm old.
But
because now I'm-
very specifically in the gaming community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are people who are exclusively on Twitch that literally make their living doing that when they don't have to. They have other skill sets. But
Well, they don't have to leave the basement though to do that. You know, other skill
Well,
sets would
yeah.
probably require them to leave the house.
But I
And
mean,
put on pants.
They've probably got a space as big as the bunker here devoted to that, and it is a fucking studio
Like this
to
is
do it. Well, we have plans.
For the love of
We're not
God, man, we
there
got
yet.
a card table. What do you want? We got a card table. We have another table. We've got bourbon. Fuck you. This is as good as it's going to get.
And what kind of bourbon are we drinking,
Oh,
James?
that's a great thing. Now, this is one of my. Shh, don't tell anybody. It's just us, right?
It's just us.
It's just us.
Just us, the NSA.
This is one of my favorite go-tos, and this is the house bourbon at Chateau Jams. This is JTS Brown bottled in bond. Retails for about $11 a bottle. It's 100 proof, 4 years old. Old recipe. This bourbon actually was mentioned in the movie The Hustler by Paul Newman before product placement was in place. And he actually ordered a bottle of JTS Brown No Glass, just the bottle,
Nice.
because he liked it. It is the oldest recipe that Heaven Hill Distilleries has. Again, for the value, you simply can't beat this juice. Yeah. Don't get the 80 proof. 80 proof is like drinking bourbon, only different. The 100 proof, I think, is a solid bourbon. It's not going to give you the complexities of a $30, $40, $50 bottle, but you can buy 5 of these for one of those.
Right.
So
And
it's, for me, it's about volume.
I'm a huge Heaven Hill fan,
Yes.
and this is going to be on my bar.
Yeah,
this
I
is going to
think
be
it's
on my
great.
bar. It's the first time I've had
I
it. It's
pretty much
pretty
always
decent.
keep some around.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the 100 proof is great for a mixer too.
Yeah.
Because you can make a great old fashioned, Manhattan. It just has that bite, that volume to stand up to
You
whatever
should
you
have
put it
told
with.
me to bring some ginger beer.
Well, but you
I've
don't
got some
listen
at
to
the
me.
house.
Again,
Well, that's true.
I can't.
That I
Maybe
guess
if
that would
I-
imply that I actually picked up a phone.
Maybe if I fucking go on Twitch, I may be able to communicate with you through some sort of role playing game.
Oh,
Grinder.
You do role play?
So, before we get into the subtleties, the low hanging fruit of the social media, I found some interesting fun facts. Shakira. Now, all right, let me just say right now, the reason why this stood out to me is because the word Shakira was in this.
not because you know who Shakira is.
Oh, no, I do.
Oh, you
Oh,
better.
I've made some knuckle children to Shakira. I mean, she's a saucy Colombian.
And she's a fine musician.
Well, she can play something. I know that. Shakira has more than 104 million Facebook fans, proving honesty is the best policy, at least for the hips.
Oh, nicely
The
done.
talented singer, songwriter, and dancer is one of the most well-liked celebrities on Facebook. To put that number to perspective, Shakira's native country, Colombia, has a population of 48.65 million, less than half of her total Facebook fans.
That's
Wow.
cool. That's
Wow.
cool. And that really speaks to the power of the platform.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why you see that Facebook is the beast in the room.
Yeah.
Because you can see all of the woes that Facebook has, and we can name them and probably do a whole podcast on that. Bottom line, they have the volume. Mm-hmm. So that's why all of the nefarious stuff is going toward them, the social influencers, the political influencers, the other countries coming in doing whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
the advertisers, that kind of stuff.
And the other countries actually blocking them.
Yeah, yeah.
China.
Well, but there's, we're going into that.
Yeah.
Facebook's population is 6.5 times greater than that of the United States.
I wonder how many of those accounts are dupes.
Yeah, you know what? It could be. We tried to do one for the show, couldn't do it. They busted us.
Yeah, yeah.
We were actually being honest, though.
Yes,
You know,
yes. Well, we were trying. I might have another avenue, though.
Okay, well, of course you do. Grinder. All about finding different avenues.
You know, Google Voice is a wonderful thing.
All right, more people own a cell phone than a toothbrush in the world.
Vermin Supreme would be very disturbed by that.
There are over 7 billion people in the world. An estimated 3.7 billion of them own a mobile phone. Only 3.5 billion own toothbrushes.
Again, Vermin Supreme would be very, very upset about that.
This is the coolest one. We don't know what Vermin Supreme is, and we don't want to know at this point.
He was a presidential candidate. Thank
Oh,
you.
well, look who we have president. So
Ponies and toothbrushes.
all right, so one of my favorite social media platforms is Reddit. And I don't know where it lists in the grand scheme of all of this, but there is a subreddit, which is a category on Reddit that is specifically for a certain topic. There's a subreddit called Birds with Arms that has over 186,000 subscribers.
Wait, not wings.
An owl photo edited to include a beefy arm. Photoshopping an arm onto a bird.
Oh my
I'm going to
God.
leave it at there. You know, that really makes me wonder why we're not marketing our show better.
With
when
owls
you've got
with human arms.
186,000 people looking at an owl with a man's arm photoshopped in.
Well, it doesn't say man's arm. It says beefy arm.
Well, I saw the picture. That's all I'm saying.
Ah, okay. Well,
It could be a lady. I don't know.
could be.
I'm not,
a lot
I'm,
of beefy chicks out
I'm,
there.
I'm not a sexist. But I think you're also seeing that what social media has done is provided a platform for obscure ideals,
Ideas.
finding community.
Mm-hmm.
Because back when we were kids, if there was an odd duck in school, that duck stayed odd. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's
just
just what
is.
happened,
Yeah.
right? Because I was the kid out there in the mobile, classroom. They called it that because I was in a fucking trailer. You know, the mobile classroom made me think it was special. Oh, I was special, all right. I was with Lenny, the drooler,
Right.
to my right. But you found people that had somebody just off the beaten path. Those folks just kind of kept it themselves because they didn't have anybody that felt the same way they did. But as soon as social media came out, now people could find a community that felt the same way that they did.
And
No matter how small or large that community was. And then they did not feel as isolated
Right.
as they had felt before.
and
And then
I-
they found out that their tribe had 186,000 people in it.
Because I want to see an owl with a beefy arm. I don't want an owl to have a bigger arm than me. I don't. I don't need.
I don't want owls to have arms at all.
Well, they are a little evil as
those
it is.
talons are wicked
They scare
enough.
me. And plus
the
they-
big ass beak.
they don't
could
blink.
carry my dog off.
They
Of
don't
course, my
blink. They don't
dog's
blink.
12 pounds.
I don't trust things that blink. Don't blink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the tribes idea that you were talking about, those odd kids in school. I was one of those kids.
We know.
Yes.
You still are.
So when
We invited you to the bunker because we're fucking scared of you.
probably a valid concern.
Valid or not, it's real.
Those tribes in social media, I think it's a great thing in some cases.
I agree.
But because it expands a voice and it expands a community that a lot of people just need. You know,
Instead of feeling isolated, now
Right.
they're included.
they're included in that community, and sometimes those behaviors, however, are anathema to the larger social setup.
Why's he got to use words like that? I don't know what the fuck those words mean. Anathema. Is that an insurance?
Anathema.
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 Yeah.
Antietam?
No, not antietam.
Why don't you use the word that everybody fucking knows?
Okay,
Which is what?
Now he's just begging for a definition
In opposition to.
in opposition
Why
to
can't you say that?
because you don't know what it means, and I love to watch you fucking
Little
struggle.
Joey
That's what it
Thesaurus
is.
over there just started looking up definitions before he left.
Some of these folks enjoy
my ass with
things
your anathema.
or behave in a certain way by choice, and they find that community in social media. God bless them. And that provides a support mechanism for them, and again, God bless them. There's a reason that that behavior isn't more widespread. So this gives folks an opportunity to do those things, and I'm looking at furries, for example.
Ain't nothing wrong with a furry. I'm not a furry. There ain't a damn thing wrong with a furry. They don't hurt nobody.
They
Just
can-
keep your plush animals away from them.
They can come together and enjoy whatever the fuck it is they want to do, and I don't have to see Rocky Raccoon hitchhiking on the way home after
he's
a late
Googled
night.
that. He has Googled that. The fact that furries come to your mind first is
It's been a long ass week, and
And you thought about furries.
I was in River City for part of this week, so
There were furries up there.
I just
Furries would have
I'm,
been the best of your
I'm
night. probably.
traumatized by the whole experience.
But I think you're right. I think there is it has developed a platform in which people of like minds can join together. Now, that being said, and find support and
All those
networking
things.
and all that. However, if that's a nefarious goal, if you are someone that is not a good person, then you can find other people that are bad people. Mm-hmm. And then you have support and you have a network and then you have a mechanism put in place to where you can get better at what it is that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about any type of alternate lifestyle or anything like
No,
that. I'm talking
no.
about people that are victimizing other folks.
Yes.
And then it's become a situation to where that's the dirty, bad side of social media.
Yeah, and
That is in cyberbullying, which I think.
which is a product of I think the kind of bullshit we're talking about.
Well, and I think in a lot of ways, that
A product.
cyberbullying takes form in the sense that, again, like on Twitter, there's no face to that name, so you can say anything that you want to, and there's an egg.
Well,
Up there,
no,
it-
you can change your profile pic.
Right, I'm saying, but you can also make it, anonymous, not unanimous, anonymous. See, I try to use a big word and I fuck it up. I mean, I'm not even fluent in English, but you can be anonymous when you put that up there.
You almost said it
And
again,
I
didn't
did. And then all of a sudden you're saying stuff there's no way in the world that you would ever say
Right.
if you were looking at somebody.
Right, right.
And it's not just cyberbullying, it's just people being
Assholes.
and someone who they really aren't. Because we all, as humans, most of us, we're being the exception, we all have a filter that says, you know what, I want to say this now, but it's not acceptable in the situation that I'm in to say that. Whereas social media goes, fuck it. I don't have to worry about any ramifications of what I say. I don't have to worry about, I don't see the effect of my words.
Yep.
Because I'm out here in the cloud, and I don't see how it affects the person I directed that comment toward.
It's scary that's how people might actually be.
I think it is.
Um,
I mean, my dad always told me, you don't know anybody until you've seen them sick, mad, or drunk. He said that's when
I guess I know you fuckers pretty damn well then.
because you have seen me mad because I got too damn drunk and got sick for it. And that could happen tonight. The jury's still out on tonight, boys. But
That's not the turkey rye.
No,
It's
it's
not, if I brought 2 turkey ryes in here, they'd pour us out the damn
I
building.
want to tell you what. He brought that turkey rye the last time, and it went down so smooth, we drank the whole damn bottle
We
between the
killed
two
the
of us. And I never slurred.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a miracle.
It was. It,
It's
a fine.
It needs to stay
fine
in my
bourbon.
house. But anyway, I think it may actually be who people push down and say this is not socially acceptable for me to say these things and be this way. So, and you see racism come out. You see all those dirty sides of people that they don't want associated to their name, or maybe they just want to vent. Maybe they thought these things and wondered what it would be like to say these things. And they use that as a platform. I don't know.
And I think there's a
Wouldn't
lot.
you love to be a
to that
sociologist
No, I would not.
and take on social media as your project?
No,
the number of doctorates that will be granted
Right.
for social media.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Not already and in years to come are just,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's definitely there.
But can you name one thing right now that is more powerful than social media as far as reaching the masses? There's no more newspapers.
Right.
Nobody trusts the media
right.
in any form or fashion, whether it's on television, whether it's on the radio or anything. Nobody trusts them.
No,
They
fuck
are
them.
much more willing to trust what they see on the fucking Facebook feed. as being fact
Yeah.
than what they
That
hear
comes-
from
that comes
NBC News.
alongside the picture of the cat and the and the shark.
Right. And the baby shark video in between. Yeah.
Well, they're believing that, you know, when Abraham Lincoln was quoted as saying the internet is really tough.
Holding his dachshund.
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck? You know, and I've actually went on some Facebook feeds but people get all worked up about it. And I'm like, did you all even Google this before you started reposting it?
Right.
Because there's no validity to these accusations at all. And now I think you're seeing it contribute to all sorts of movements, like the Me Too movement. I think you see people, as soon as the accusation is placed on them, they are immediately ruled guilty
Yes.
by society. Society being represented in social media.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no harsher judicial system on the planet, either conceived or dreamed of, than social media. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. I may have jumped to the wrong conclusion.
I think you may have taken that a little far.
Okay. Well, all right. Yes.
I'm pretty sure some like religious
That-
courts
yeah.
who will execute you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Or worse.
But that's a fair concern, right? I mean, it is true. Granted, yes. places where you can be executed for saying, like the word God the wrong way.
Right.
That's one thing. But it is true that social media has a real problem with the fact that when people are voicing their opinions constantly, but at the same time voicing the wrong opinion can land you in a heap of trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
And
I remember there was a story on a lady
fucking
that
freaking shit.
she was a popular reporter, and I can't remember the nuts and bolts of it, but she was a popular reporter, and she tweeted something, and it was something that was mistweeted. She shouldn't have tweeted that. It was insensitive to somebody somewhere, and I can look it up and find out the nuts and bolts about it, although it's important. But she got on an airplane after she tweeted it. And it was a long flight coast to coast, about a 4 or 5 hour flight. And she got to the airport, turned her phone back on, and she was fired because of the blow up that social media had in those 4 or 5 hours that she was disconnected from social media. She could not refute or apologize or give perspective as to what she said. She was literally lost her entire career from one tweet 5 hours later.
yeah, and I can't remember the exact episode you're talking about, but I think it's pretty telling that it's happened so many times
We don't even notice it anymore.
we don't even recognize it anymore. Because
But you know what?
and if you have that public face and
Which we don't. That's
Which-
why we do a podcast.
right.
We have a basement face.
Yes. But how so fucking very true that is.
Yeah, right. Because I stare into Root's eyes.
He loves it. But
Can't unsee something.
if you're part of major media, and whether it's your face or your name or whatever is known to this huge national audience, you cannot mistype something on social media
Covfefe.
with
Covfefe.
I'm getting there, but
I don't know what.
you have to be so
Inside jokes
incredibly-
with 3 people sucks. Just going to say it right now.
You have to be so incredibly careful about what you say because it could absolutely cost you your job, or worse, because there are some crazy people out there. None of us are those people.
No, we're
Well,
in here.
no.
We're not out there. We're in here. It makes a big difference.
Alex and James aren't those people.
Yeah.
But there are some people. If you rub them the wrong way, they
Oh, I
will,
like to be rubbed.
they will hunt your ass
Not
down
by you.
and cause bodily harm. So yeah.
Sit down, Root. Sit the fuck down. There's
you know I got it. You know I got it.
There's no rubbing. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I don't feel sorry for folks that continually put themselves out there. I always harken back to Michael Jordan during his career playing basketball. He was looked at as being the great American hero, the guy that did no wrong. He walked on water and that kind of stuff. And then the stuff started coming out about who he really was as a person. And even though he marketed himself as a brand, tried to be like Mike, right? Back in the day. Now we have the Air Jordan and all that sort of stuff. And it came out that he was a mean son of a bitch that was selfish, that had a gambling addiction, that possibly had enough personal issues that got his father executed. And and he's like, oh, I hate getting beat up in the media like this. Fuck you. You've exploited the media for these many years. All right, if you set yourself up as being, walking on water, when you trip, everybody's going to get on you about that.
Yeah, that's true. That's one extreme. But then there's another extreme that could easily, one misspelled word cost a career, could bring physical bodily harm.
I think one of the ones that I think about, and it has nothing to do to their own accord, was she's still a reporter for, I think she's now with either Fox or ES. No, I don't know who she's with, but she's a sideline reporter, and one of the most famous ones, Erin Andrews.
Yeah.
And she's a doll. I mean, she's beautiful. She's intelligent. She's well-spoken. She used to be a cheerleader for the University of Florida, and she was everybody's sweetheart until some dumbass recorded a video of her blowing her hair dry in a motel room
and
with a pinhole camera, and then blasted it to social media.
Yeah.
Now, they ended up busting him, and I don't recall what the ramifications of his actions were. But her career was forever changed because of somebody victimizing her in that platform.
Yeah.
And I think that's the negative side of social media is the ability to reach so many people in such a short period of time before anything can be done to stop that reach.
Yeah.
I think that's the scary thing about social media.
But I'll tell you what, Erin Andrews' story changed the way women behave in hotels.
But you know what? All she was doing was blow drying her hair. I saw the video 27 times.
In-depth investigation.
I paused. Then I rewound.
Yeah.
But
it got really interesting there for a minute, and then he kind of lost interest.
She was by herself, blow drying her hair. There's no way to change that behavior.
Yeah, and it
unless you put a cloak on when you blow dry your hair.
No.
Which I don't. Because I dry my hair nude all the time.
That wasn't the behavior I'm talking about. Defensive measures inside the hotel room. Instead of the do not disturb sign on the outside door, no, you put it on top of that exit sign that covers up that peephole.
It wasn't a peephole, it was a drill hole.
Whatever. Oh, well.
Yeah, that changes the story, doesn't it?
Well,
literally, it was a pinhole. It was a pinhole camera. And that kind of stuff has went on forever. I watched a documentary on a hotel out west somewhere where it was just a motel on US 60 or
words, James.
Route 66, fucker. But it was one of those that people just motor lodge, and all of the mirrors were two-way.
Wow.
And the guy had a camera set up at every mirror, and he did this for 25 years. Now, the difference was back then there was not a mechanism to put that on the information superhighway.
Right.
That was something he used for his spank bank over in the motorhome.
I bet sometimes he found shit he didn't want to watch.
But there is a documentary on Netflix
and
about him. No, about him. It's intriguing. The man has since passed away, but he would justify his behavior.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he really targeted honeymooners because that's what he wanted to see. Was what honeymooners were doing, not what two old people going to California was doing. So moving forward, now we've talked about social media, where it started. We talked about it today, our personal influence, or how it personally influences us. What's it going to look like in 10, 15, 20 years?
Let's let our futurist answer that question.
Alex. Humanist, futurist, scarf wearer. Alex. Wearer of the scarf.
No, we're going to have to come up with some intro music for this.
He's blushing.
He is.
He's doing
fun.
a basement blush.
No, I was thinking, okay, we're past in the year 2000. What's the next one of those going to be? It's changed so fast, and so all those things, right? Like what you're just talking about, where we see problems, we end up having to find countermeasures to them. That's just going to keep happening.
Right.
Technology changes so quickly that the ability to keep up with new ways that people can think of abusing it is, it's just an ongoing competition. I think one of the big things has already changed it a lot. We already kind of talked about the fact that kind of one of the big shifts in social media was the fact that it actively looked for ways to connect you. That was kind of a big part of the burgeoning of artificial intelligence in social media. And we haven't talked about bots and that kind of stuff, but those
fuckers call my cell phone about 25 times a day.
But that aspect of like the artificial intelligence engaging with us as society and stuff like that, I think that's where we're headed next to be both surprised and actually to have it help us too, right? It is what helps identify people who are setting up fake accounts, people who are doing malicious things with it. Every one of these networks we've talked about, they've got massive artificial intelligence teams working on stuff to try and help figure out where stuff is going wrong, could be done better, all that kind of stuff. So I think the AI side of it is going to be a big one coming up. That'll probably help us connect more and better as well. But
do you see more people unplugging in the future?
No.
Or are they going to double down and plug up even more?
I think we are tapped in so much already, for one thing, and besides having teams of people that are all into AI, they've also got teams of people who are psychologists that have studied how do we hook into people's brains even more, and that is being manipulated and used intentionally. So an interesting question there, and this is just maybe one to go off and talk about and think about, is what's wrong with the incentives right now with social media, right? The ways that the companies are making their money and the reasons that they go about their practices the way they do right now is all about their incentives. What makes it valuable to them? What makes it valuable to them right now is advertisement, and advertisement is based on eyes on screen.
It's just the reach.
Right.
We talked about the numbers of each one of these social platforms. That's what's enticing to them, that they can put out one ad and reach billions of people. Instead of putting an ad on NBC, CBS, whatever, or on a radio show, those days are done. I would hate to be the people that were in charge of getting ads on those types of mediums where you can put one ad out and reach 1 billion people in 12 hours.
But most of the bad things we see coming out of it are having to do with exactly that incentive, right? It's
And also, there's no discretion on these social media platforms as to who they're going to take money from. Because the ads that I see, they're not legitimate fucking businesses. You can't buy Ray-Bans for $12.95. You can't do it. It's pretty bad
because he's tried.
It's pretty bad when my bank goes, stop it. That's not legitimate. We're not even going to let you send $12.95 that way because we don't want to deal with the horse shit that's going to come to us because of your dumbass drunken decision at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday in the middle of the night. I'm not saying I've done it.
No.
But I kind of am. But I think that's one of the big things is NBC, CBS, ABC. There are certain advertisers that they're not going to allow it on that platform. They have a modicum of discretion as to what they're going to associate their name to. Twitter don't give a fuck.
Well, you talked about the pure volumes and numbers and stuff like that. They don't have enough people. They got a lot of employees. They
hire more,
but they don't have that many employees that can personally do it. That's where the AI stuff comes in.
You know why?
It's not perfect though.
You know why? Because they don't care. They care about getting money. They don't care about the quality of the advertisers. They care about the revenue.
Are you two guys talking about the same they?
I'm talking about the owners of the social media company, Zuckerberg, or whoever owns Twitter or Twatter or whatever the fuck the name of it is. No, I'm talking about Zuckerberg is looking at influence more than he is reputation. He doesn't really care what pops up on your feed.
I don't think Zuck is looking for influence. I think he's looking at money.
Right. But by increasing influence, he increases revenue.
That's egg
chicken stuff.
Right. Egg chicken. Okay, I'm tracking.
Chicken egg? I'm sorry, did I not use the right context for you?
It just kind of
Maybe
me
I
out of left
wasn't using
field.
big enough words.
egg chicken, not 8 chickens. That's what I heard.
So anyway, let's let him think he won that one.
No, I'm just trying to have a filter.
Oh, because that's what we do here.
Well, I heard it's
on
new.
Slightly
It's new.
Uncomfortable. Oh,
I'm
you're just
trying
trying it
something
on.
new tonight.
Yeah, okay.
But to me, that's what it is. They're whoring themselves out for the highest dollar.
Sure.
And
It's
that's
a
the
business.
one thing
That's
that you
what
don't.
there's-
Well, but again, that's what you don't see in printed media. As far as time, as far as people, magazines, as far as local newspapers, and as far as the big networks, they don't want to risk their reputation because of like a surly advertiser.
Because,
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
Unless you turn on to daytime TV, and then it's like the Becker Law Office. Just dial 3s. Literally, that's the advertisement. They want people that all they can do is pick up a receiver and just keep hitting the same fucking button until
Until a number call goes through.
Until Becker starts talking to the son bitch has got his tie loosened. He has given up on life. He has checked out of reality. Just dial 3s till somebody starts talking to you. That's daytime TV, but I'm talking about like primetime advertisers.
I think he's a little angry because they interrupted one of his stories.
Could have been. Could have been. I mean, if you get sick and stay home one day and turn on the TV, you will not be sick anymore.
That's why God made YouTube. Turn it on the TV.
I woke up one day and Dr. Phil was playing. Oh, that was a bad day.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. No,
He
no,
makes
no.
me look smart.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we're seeing is you still have a respect level on these other platforms. But on the social media platform, it doesn't matter. If you write the check, they'll put your ass on there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be reputable.
You don't even have to write the check. That's not. So the way that works is
Bitcoin.
You put your ad up, and if they put it there and people click on it,
They
then
get money from it.
They get
Well,
money from it, and you get the click.
And Google started down that road with
And I think Google is now a social media platform.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But with the inclusion of a variety of ad providers within Google search engine, Google found themselves in a real mess because those ad providers, DoubleClick, I'm thinking immediately, DoubleClick wasn't checking what kind of imagery, what kind of videos were being included in their ads. Now suddenly DoubleClick is responsible for sending out malware as part of their advertisements. This was several years ago. So I fully agree that the online presences, Google, Facebook, whatever, they're only
Twatter.
looking at getting paid. Twatter,
Yeah.
Yeah. UTwat, all that stuff.
No, I don't. That's between you and your boys in Fort Wayne. What do you do on weekends we don't want to know about?
Oh, there won't be
I bet
video
Lloyd will be there.
unless it's breaking news. But you mentioned the respectability of the old media.
Just the
ABC.
standards.
I don't think they have any.
I mean, you don't see Budweiser advertising. Not that Budweiser is a higher than, but you don't see Budweiser advertising on fucking Facebook.
Because they don't need to.
There is no business that does not need that type of exposure.
Budweasel? Come on.
No, there isn't. I mean, when you can reach
Do you see Coke?
over 1 billion people with just an ad, there is no business that would not relish in that.
there's a reason Coke continued to advertise even though they were the number one. That's how you stay there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
but-
can't rest on your laurels.
I have yet to see an ad for Coca-Cola on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
I think
anything
that's
like
his
that.
point.
They
right?
don't pay enough
They don't, and they don't need it.
because they're not going to risk being put up next to Ray-Bans for $12.95 because it dismisses their legitimacy because they're being in the same feed as something that we all know is horseshit.
So,
At least my bank told me it was.
so
I still ain't got no fucking sunglasses, by the way. It's been
So-
17 weeks.
YouTube, Facebook, these platforms that are now rivaling the legitimacy of the old media.
Oh, they've surpassed them.
Right? So what the fuck is going on with the old media then? because
It's like newspapers.
if these
They're
institutions have risen above the standards and frankly the revenue of some of these old media outfits, then
Why are they still around?
why are advertisers still going to the old media?
Because I think the audience that they find with the old media is the audience that spends more money.
You think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the people that watch the Academy Awards
Who?
have a higher,
Oh, that was one of the shit shows we talked about.
have a deeper pocket than the people are on fucking Snapchat. And they are the consumers out there spending money. They're the old money that spends dollars on shit. The people on Facebook, like me, are looking for $12.95 sunglasses. That's what you're on Facebook. That's what you're on the internet for, is to find deals, to find those crazy things, for a lady in your area. She ain't shown up yet, by the way. But boys, if the doorbell rings, you fuckers are out of here. I'm just saying you right now. Her name was Cinnamon, and I think
Was
she
it
may be
Cinnamon or
stopping by.
Portia?
And she's 2.3 miles away.
She is. She is.
Because the interwebs told you so.
She is. She just got here from Guam. She's a little down on her luck. You
Of
know,
course.
her uncle's a priest.
Of course
high
he is.
priestess or priester or whatever they call that. But I think that's the big difference. Is the reason that the traditional media is still there. Number one, this is going to be a broad statement, but I'll own it. The only reason why CBS, NBC, and ABC exist is sports. If you took
something to
sports
that.
away, if these mediums were allowed to stream live sporting events, the networks would go away. Nobody's going to fucking tune in to watch 3 Men and a Baby or whatever the fucking name of those type of shows are. They're not going, because now we have Game of Thrones. Now we have the subscribed, and it's so much better programming than what you have on fucking 9 o'clock on a Thursday on ABC. That
Right.
nobody gives two shits about.
Right.
So if they can get to where they can stream live media, networks are gone. It's like newspapers. It's like magazines.
Well,
They're gone.
that's an excellent point.
Because there's no other. Because I've unplugged before. I've unplugged from all those resources, but I couldn't find a way to watch a sporting event. And then I ended up going to a bar to watch a sporting event, and then my bar tab. Y'all know how I drink. My bar tab was far more than what I would pay for that media per month.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I don't watch sports, and
We know.
Yeah, I know. And,
Sailing.
but I've been unplugged for probably at least 5 or 6 years,
And there's no issue with that,
and,
right?
and I don't care at all.
Because you don't want to watch racing on Sunday.
Don't care.
You don't want to watch the NCAA tournament or the NBA championship.
If I do, I'll find a Russian site that streams it.
Well, there's that.
Because he has that ability.
Yeah.
So now this is my question to you guys. Being my resident techies.
Uh-huh.
Won't answer a fucking text message. But anyway,
We're beyond that.
all right, so when the social media started, it was started by you guys. Right? Because you all were figuring out a way to network and talk. And what's that next underbelly?
I got
You know,
an answer.
the one that's not really socially palatable.
Right
What's
now.
the next right that will evolve to once it becomes more so? What's the next one? What does it look like moving forward?
I've subscribed to. It's not really.
Don't tell us about your subscription.
We talked about browser history before, right?
Oh Jesus! It shows up to his house in a brown paper envelope.
No, actually, it's digitally provided.
Oh, I bet there's some digits.
I've been part of a gaming platform for years called Steam, and when my buddies,
Is it always one word for you gamers?
of course it is
Twitch, Steam,
Steam. See, there you go.
loser.
No, it's never loser.
Steam is also huge.
Yeah, see. Thank you. So
So we have Ruth that's the gamer. We have Alex that's aware of the games, and we have me that plays NBA 2K. That's it. That's all I play.
he's got a $400 gaming
I do.
console to play.
I
a
also
10-year-old,
play
15-year-old
Red Dead
game.
Redemption
Oh well,
2.
there you go.
So
There
I
you
mean
go.
that's pretty badass. But anyway,
if they would port that to PC, I might join you, but they won't. So
we
fuck
don't,
them.
we don't want you because you're better. at
Because
shit
we're the
than I am.
master race, and you're not. So.
Oh, now we're getting. Why's it got to be racial? Why we
No,
gotta
the
be racist?
gaming, the PC gamers are the master race. It's well established.
Evidently,
It's
they're
just a
racist.
fact.
Yeah, make America great again.
One of the things that I see happen on, and I never got back to Kofefi, but
I don't know what it is.
Kofefi was, I have to think it was a drunk tweet by the president, current president. What?
Oh, his
Year and a
poop
half?
tweet.
It was a couple years ago.
It was
Yeah.
his poop tweet.
It was just one of
Perhaps.
those like
His 4 a.m. tweet.
like what in the world is he doing?
By the way, he doesn't drink. So that's the scary part about those tweets is he is totally as lucid as he gets. At 4 a.m., he's not drunk. He's just shitting.
Well, I have to think that he meant coffee. Who knows? But
knows?
COVFEFE was what landed in his Twitter feed. And it took the interwebs by storm.
Because it was just
It was just completely out of the blue. So anyway, what I was talking about was Steam. When you've got guys that you game with a lot, and you can add them as friends or whatever. As they start a new game, a little pop-up comes up on your screen, says what they're playing. One thing that I've seen growing in popularity is something called VR chat, virtual reality chat.
And that's different than regular chat. How?
Regular chat is text-based. VR chat,
No, you can do FaceTime.
right? That's facial, right?
Oh, let's
That's
not
real
talk about
world
those.
cameras and all
That's
that.
a different podcast. She's in my area.
VR chat is, I'm guessing I've never done it because I don't have a VR unit, but
Sure, you haven't. Fort Wayne.
you can build your own character, and through
Good God.
virtual reality
You can build a character that is not you.
or not, I don't know. It's worth some research, I guess, although I'm a little bit afraid.
By you, not me. I research all the show shit. I ain't touching that stuff.
I am betting that this virtual reality thing,
So it's an avatar that you create.
I think within VR chat, yes. And you can,
Oh, this
have
is scary.
comms and interact with
So
other folks.
it's a big fat hairy man naked in the basement that's got an
Pretending to
avatar
be-
that is a beautiful hot blonde woman.
Right.
I don't need to be anything part of that because I drink a lot and I can't.
he wouldn't be able to live
I
with himself.
don't need to know anything about that.
But the future of what we're seeing here
But is that social?
virtual reality. Of course it is.
But is that? But what you're talking
But
about
it's
is
not. It doesn't
You're,
have to be
you're saying
one to
it's gonna
one.
Evolve to or devolve.
VR chat isn't one to one now. It can be, but it is a fully fledged gaming platform.
Did you see Ready Player One?
I did not
or-
see the
or
movie.
read
I'm
it.
aware of the movie. I have not seen
I haven't,
I mean,
but I'm familiar.
It is one of those like book is way better than the movie kind of a thing.
Well,
Right.
I'll not know either.
But but
It may not surprise you, but I'm not a big reader.
Except
I'm
when
act-
he's on
I'm
the
actually-
fucking shitter.
so it's funny because I'm actually not either, and yet I read that one because it was. But anyway, it goes along the lines of that, and as far as in the future, the social media, let's say Facebook, just continues to grow and add features, and eventually it's a set of like interconnected everybody, and it's essentially this whole universe into itself, and all you do is jack into it, right? You put on your visor or whatever it is, and that becomes your new reality. I think there's a reasonable future there that's where we start like tapping in and how we actually connect. Maybe that's how we work. Mm-hmm. Our jobs are in that reality.
There are people, I guess they're still around. The Second Life gaming platform by Linden Labs. Hardly a gaming platform, more like a highly advanced Minecraft. You build your world around you.
There was a game that Lloyd played when we were roommates together called Evernerf or EverQuest. EverQuest. And some of the things you could do within that world, I never got into it, never tried it, never downloaded anything. My goodness, you could create a whole counter reality in that world and interact with people in a level that you couldn't in a daily world. Because daily world, you are a blue-collar factory worker. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
But in that world, you can be a king. So you can be something there that you can't be otherwise.
Yep. And Second Life's the same way. You can build whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. And with the VR thing, gaining in prominence and gaining in technical capabilities, it absolutely has a potential to change the way we interact with people in wild ways. He was talking about how you work in that world. There were people who joined Second Life for no other reason than to buy and sell Second Life territory.
Well, I remember even when I was into World of Warcraft, that there were people that were buying and selling level 99 characters that they'd already built up, and they were selling those accounts to where you did not have to start at level 1, because it was quite a journey to get from level 1 to level 99. And they would actually sell those to the highest bidder on eBay.
What?
And I'm like, all right, I'm out. I played it for 6 months, and I got bored with it, and I left. Because I'm not, but in heart, when I'm gaming, I don't want to play with other people. I'm very social otherwise. That's not where I want to find my stimulus socially. Because I want to be able to look at somebody across the table, across the bar, whatever the case may be, and engage with them in ways other than virtually.
Other than intellectually.
No, oh fucker.
I hit a nerve. Look out.
You take your talent to Fort Wayne and shut the fuck up. But no, I really like, I watch body language, I watch social cues and stuff like that. You don't get any of that in that world. And it's superficial. It's not genuine. It really isn't.
But
it does nothing for me.
So if you right now could take away these walls, the three of us still sitting together in the same dynamic, but nothing else here looks the same. Instead of this mixing board, we've got buttons right here.
Oh, I've watched Iron Man.
Translucent. Right.
I've watched Iron Man where he throws shit off of the virtual screen.
Right.
That's really cool.
That's the virtual world that I think we're headed toward.
And I would love that. But if it's an avatar that I created in my basement to give somebody an impression of who I am, that is totally contrary to who I really am, that's bullshit. I don't want to engage in a fantasy world. That's fantasy shit.
Once we get to that point, it's going to be very hard to tell the difference. Visually, anyway. God help us if it comes down to intellectual capabilities.
I want to tell you what, there's a Snapchat. I think it's Snapchat that does it. Is it Snapchat? But you can actually hold it up, and it will copy your facial cues. The avatar that you've created will smile when you smile, wink when you wink, head back, head forward, whatever the case may be. So, I can absolutely see it going to that level. That's a free platform.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what would happen if you could actually had to subscribe or pay for it, what the capability would be. I don't know that I like that. I remember what Demolition Man, I think we've referenced that on other podcasts, is Demolition Man, the only way they had sex was virtually because of the risk of sexually transmitted diseases and things like that. And actually, Sylvester Stallone only had sex with Sandra Bullock virtually. I like it. If I got a chance to be with Sandy Bullock,
It's on.
I don't want a computer in front of me. I don't. Because she's a certain kind of naughty. But so do you agree with that, Alex? Do you think that's where it's going, or do you have a different spin on where social media may end up landing? Is it going to be a point to where it's too much and it flames out, or is this ever evolving?
No, we're already connected and heavily connected, right? And it's just going to continue. How it'll evolve, it's hard to predict. I do think those other technologies are going to come into play, the VR and that kind of stuff. I think to me one of the some of the most interesting things about it are the sociological, how is it actually going to change us? How is it going to? How are we going to choose or not choose to engage with it? I think people
end up staying in the basement instead of going out to the store?
Yeah, and I think what we already see is that people just
Or
tend to-
disengaging
they,
from
they,
social.
they are disengaging, and so here's an interesting figure. The average age of initial sex in the U.S. has gone up
Because there's other resources.
because there's other stuff you're doing.
Well, not
You're
just that.
You're not actually hanging out with somebody in the basement. You're on your
Oh, no,
phone.
wait. I don't know what you're expecting out of this evening, Alex, but it's not going to result in that.
Not your basement. Yeah, I'm talking.
He
I'm
had
talking
a
about.
gleam in his eye
I'm
that
talking
scared
about,
me a little
I'm
bit.
talking about the teenagers.
If you're going to expect that, you need to scarf up.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Hey, I brought it with the socks tonight.
So I get what you're saying. You're not hanging out on a Friday night.
Yeah,
You are plugged in somewhere.
yeah.
Wow. And I think that the average age of sex, first initial sex, is going up is good. Because maybe you're a little bit more knowledgeable about what you're doing than I was at 16. But by that same account, I think one of the reasons is they have pornography at the touch of a button. So they can take care of urges that when we were kids, we didn't have the resources and the availability to take care of. You can only run the highlight reel that you have no highlights of so many times. But now you're 2 clicks away on any media device of seeing something that we never even heard of back in the day.
But those are those things. It's like, what are going to be the effects of that? How is that going to affect their actual ultimate relationships with an actual person when they actually have to get in contact with them?
I
right?
think pornography kills relationships, the expectations of relationships.
So
I
those
think it absolutely
those
kills them.
kinds of things, how we engage with these going forward, it's yet to be seen, and I think it's gonna. It's the that usual statement of it's disruptive. When something comes along that's disruptive, you don't know what's going to come out on the other
The
end.
ripple effect of that.
Yeah.
Because it may bother you today, but how does it affect you 5 years, 10 years
Yeah,
down
and
the
you
road?
can't predict how that affects this little aspect of the way people interact, and the way that people now interact that way affects another way that they interact.
I think
And-
it's the same as taking a drink of alcohol. Is the 3 of us take a drink of alcohol and you enjoy it. You really enjoy it to one another. And then I'm an alcoholic. The same stimulus, but 3 different effects because of our dynamic, because of who we are, our chemistry.
Right.
Now multiply that across the population of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how does that affect? Does that make me stay in my basement, or do I go, fuck it, I'm going outside?
And
if you go, I'm now single, and I go to bars or any other place out in the public, and you go to a bar and you sit down, and everybody's looking at their fucking phone. They went out in public to look at a phone. They could have done that at home.
Yeah.
So there's no way to engage with someone when they are already engaged with 15 people on their phone.
Yeah.
So I go to the bar, I have a drink, and I go home and drink my own liquor that I've already paid for. Because that's not the way that things work anymore. I'm used to going out, shaking hands with somebody, coming up with a casual conversation, see where it goes, right? But nowadays, that's not how it works. You have to swipe right, left, and see if somebody clicks with you in a superficial way because of your picture and whatever little blurb you wrote that 9 times out of 10 they didn't read. So that's what society looks like, and it sounds like the path that we're going down from what you all described is even more so of looking down in the screen.
Or looking ahead
At a screen. But being surrounded by screens and being more comfortable in that dynamic than you are in your own.
Well,
In reality, than being more comfortable there than you are in reality. Going to the grocery as opposed to ordering groceries online.
And as you just said, like finding ourselves in a reality where even if that's not where you're more comfortable, that's where everybody else is. So that's your only option.
So you're lone. You actually feel lonely when you go out to a social setting.
that's me exactly. That is me exactly.
But you're also an introvert.
Very much so.
I'm an outgoing introvert. I am. It's a thing. I'm an introvert on my own terms. I can be outgoing as long as I control the interaction.
I'm a reserved extrovert.
I will ear hole both you sons of bitches. I will put my fist in your ear. I will hit you in the ear with a fist. You will be ear holed, and you will not like it. But no,
James
honestly,
was born Poor black child.
All right, so I've been a preacher.
Yeah.
I have been a number of different jobs and career paths where I integrate with other people on my terms. They don't talk to me, I talk at them. If they start talking at me, I shut them down. So I am outgoing in that regard. If I cannot control the environment, I don't go out.
Yeah,
And you just don't go out.
I just don't go out.
And would you consider yourself an introvert, Alex?
I don't know. I'm an extrovert.
Oh, hell
I
no,
love.
you're
I,
not.
I,
You
I,
are not an extrovert.
that's so funny that you say that, but I love going into a chaotic environment. I want to see what's going to happen. I like.
No, you're a
interacting with
psychopath.
New people.
That's a psychopath.
No,
That's a sociopath. That's one of those paths.
No, so I said that actually seriously. I am actually a reserved extrovert.
That's the one time I looked at
definition-
Root, and he's like, I don't know what that means. I'm going to keep talking. He did it me. You did it me.
the definition of introvert and extrovert is where do you find
Your solace.
your
energy.
recharge?
Where do you recharge? Your solace.
Right.
Your safe place.
Right.
I recharge in privacy. I don't, when I go out into public, it drains me.
Yep.
When extroverts go out in public, it fuels them,
Lifts them up.
right?
That is me.
Yeah.
You might not guess it.
I spent the last 36 hours surrounded by people. 400 of my dearest, closest friends.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
No.
He was surrounded by
And-
people,
and-
hands and legs,
Oh, no. And,
toys,
I'm sure. No.
jellies.
No.
There was an animal.
There, he was a furry in a damn suit.
That's why he mentioned it earlier. I know that's why he mentioned it earlier. What happens in Louisville comes back to Frankfurt.
Oh my God! A small group like this, I'm great.
Yeah,
I'm fine. I'm fine.
I get
here.
that.
But go to a concert. I've probably been to my last
Yeah, I don't want to go to concerts anymore.
because
One of the reasons why you and I hit it off is we're very similar.
yeah,
I'm just more of an outgoing version of you.
and I'm better looking. So
Well,
There's
as
that.
far as you know. Alex? No, never mind. So, to sum it up, are we okay where it's going? Are we scared of it? Or is it indifferent depending on the path that you choose to take? I mean, we're now 50 or so. How are we going to interact in the next 20 years if we're gifted with that much time? Because I find myself more drawn now toward, partly because of our show. I want to increase interaction and reach and everything like that. So I'm on social media more. I'm watching stuff more than I did before. But moving forward, are we going to engulf ourselves more in it? Or are we going to start pulling ourselves away from it?
for me, it would be very difficult for me to even attempt to engulf myself more with it.
Well, you're pretty much eat up with it. And you do well
I mean,
at it.
just
I mean,
pull a
because
percentage out of
he
my
did
ass, but-
he did accept my friendship request after low these many months.
Just now on my
but,
phone.
But the way you represent yourself, and I will say to both of you all, the way you represent yourself on social media is who I know, and I appreciate that because many people, if you look at their Facebook feed and you know who they are,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, you're praising Jesus. I know what you did last night. I don't think Jesus would be okay with that because I was fucking there. I know Jesus ain't okay with me, but all of a sudden you're praising Jesus.
He might be all right with you.
Let's
but, you know.
God's will do. I don't think that was God's will. That was that guy named Will's way, but it was not God's will.
It may have been JTS.
Brown
Brown,
yeah.
too.
Or all the Brown boys was there. That
All of
night.
them, yeah.
But what you see in social media is not necessarily who you know as a person. So I really appreciate both you all representing yourselves in the way that I know who you are. I think you're genuine in how you represent yourself.
Yeah, I try it, but I also have my moments of fucking that up on occasion.
Well, that's you.
Passion, hey, it is me.
is you.
It is me.
I think that's part of why I don't particularly engage that much in social media because I like being out, actually engaging with somebody, seeing how they, getting to know them, engaging in person. But in social media, there's a lot of, like you say, whether it's dishonesty
Disingenuous.
or disingenuous. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And you know,
and so, yeah, I personally, I mean, it's inevitable. Things are going to go the way they're going to go. We're not going to have any influence over that.
No, not the three guys in the basement.
So do we engage with it? I think more my thing is just simply I get to choose how much and to what degree and in what ways I engage with it.
And does it also affect, or is it affected at where you are in your life? You know, because I've noticed now, I'm not in a relationship. I engage more now because I don't have that stimulus elsewhere.
well, and I think
I
too,
come home to a dog. So when I'm sitting there at 9 o'clock at night, I'm not texting with a girlfriend. I am hanging out with a dog. So
Right.
I want some social interaction. So I'm more active on social media than probably I was before when I was with someone. So I think where you are in your life determines your level of activeness in social media.
there is a bunch of adults now who
I
do
haven't
not
seen them.
who do not know this life without social media.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
And so for those folks to take away their phone, to say Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, UTwat, all these things are gone.
I've
would be
actually searched for
debilitating.
UTwat. It's an interesting site.
Yeah, don't do that.
UTwat.com.
Paid endorsement.
But to be fair, if you took away our phones, we would lose our fucking mind. Because your bride cannot reach you. Your family cannot reach you. Your kids cannot reach you.
Right.
Your girlfriend couldn't reach you. And my friends and my dad couldn't reach me because they've gotten used to reaching me on a basis. When we were younger and it was just a dial phone, right?
With a 34-foot cord.
And there was no answering machine, right? You called, and if they answer, you don't call around supper time because they
No.
can answer, right?
Or during that
you were
UK
used
ball
to,
game.
I'm going to call, and I'll just call back later. And then when the answering machine came on, well, if they check their messages, they'll give me a call in a little while. But now we've gotten to where it's like we expect someone to pick up. I need you, pick up. So we can say that the millennials and past are dependent on their phones, so are we.
No.
How many phones do you carry, Root?
I carry two, but
All the time.
no. Not when I'm not on the clock.
But you know what I'm saying is that you may not want to be, but you're still dependent on a phone.
No.
If your bride calls, you want to be able to answer.
That's why I have this.
Mom and dad. But
That's
but
why I have
if I
this.
took that
For
away
those three people.
if I took that away for 5 hours, you would not be okay with that.
See you tomorrow.
But you know what I'm saying?
Bring it to the office.
Because mom and dad depend on you. Your bride depends on you. And it's nothing wrong with that.
Well, but no, what I'm saying is if I had to surrender this, I would
Do you have a home
give it away.
phone?
Yes.
Do you have a home phone, Alex?
Oh, no.
I don't either.
Yeah, we do.
So here's the thing: is if I gave up my phone, nobody could reach me unless they came to my house. Which everybody in Central Kentucky has a key to my house, evidently. But what's that? I'm a lover.
Is that what it is?
I bring people in. You know, just don't come over on Tuesdays. You don't want to see that. But I don't know what that means. But I think that we can say that people are dependent on their phones, and so are we. On different levels, we depend
right.
on our phones. You know, so
go there.
I think that's fair. So I don't want to belittle folks that always have it in front of them because I'm kind of like that sometimes. I know how to put it in its place,
Yeah.
but I'm still kind of like that.
If-
I remember when Lloyd, another friend of ours, and I went out to lunch one time, and we were always up on our phones. Our third friend, Mike, he still had a rotary cell phone, I think. I don't know what that thing looked like. But we actually put all of our phones in the middle of the table, and we said, whoever picks the phone up first buys. So leave it there. And we actually said, all right, text your loved ones. If they need something, call you. If somebody rings you, you can pick it up. Otherwise, you don't answer a text. Lloyd lost his fucking mind because he forgot and kept his on vibrate. So he was hearing every time somebody texted him, he
God,
heard
that
it.
annoys the fuck
And
out of me.
he lost his. But here's the thing about Lloyd: he loves to respond to messages because he was thinking it may be pussy. But what he loves more than that is money.
Oh.
And for him to pick up the tab anywhere at any time, you're going to have to break both his arms and smack him in the back of the head. Lloyd, you know what I'm talking about. So to watch his reaction, because anybody else that was that ingrained in getting some trim would have picked that damn phone up and go, fuck you, I'll order up, I'm paying.
Yeah.
Not Lloyd.
Nope.
No, he was just waiting for the deadline. Y'all want to go somewhere else? You want to go somewhere else? You want to go somewhere else? You want to go somewhere else? I'm going to go somewhere else. And as soon as I said, yeah, he is like texting back and texting. He goes, fuck it, it was my cousin.
Well,
So,
I mean,
but we're all attached in different levels. We really are. And we can say we're not, but we got to own that shit.
I can. My wife, my folks. I need to stay in touch with them, or they need to know when
Nieces?
I'm not available.
Nieces?
That's what they can talk to the wife. But of course, you know, all the family members, I need to know what's going
And
on
also
with
your
them.
friends, in case
Sure.
they need something.
Sure, but
So now we've gotten to 20
but,
people.
but more like 8.
Okay, but still, you see it going out further.
But I'm not married to this thing. I'm not. I could. I mean,
Well, I know you don't respond to my fucking text messages.
I don't respond to text messages at all.
I know you don't.
I don't
Maybe a
respond.
fax number.
I-
Do you have a fax number I can reach you at? Or
No, because again, that involves a printer. I don't do printers.
I'm going to send a Raven.
Raven's probably the best option.
That would be awesome.
You know,
From King's Landing, I'm going to send a Raven.
as much as a geek as I am, I
I
enjoy
have a
this
better
digital
chance
world.
at shooting you a message on Sea of Thieves than I do of text messaging you on the weekend.
Of late, sadly not, because I haven't been in world. But
In world. Right there. Geek alert.
IRL.
it's just not, you know.
Would you agree, Alex, that you have a connection to your phone?
I'm definitely connected to it. I mean, so I've been
Work?
needing to reset my phone for months probably, and I haven't managed to be like, okay, I can cut out this like 4 hours that's not going to be available.
Well, now I will occasionally unplug. I'll go fishing for 4 hours. But even then, when I unplug, I may be listening to music.
Right.
I may be looking at the weather. You know, because you get addicted to. All right, I may be using the GPS to go to the lake. I may be looking at the weather because it looks a little dicey. We're really addicted to the resources that we have available at our hands. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not about social media necessarily. We're not putting on Facebook, hey, look, I'm planning on bending at the waist in 3 minutes, which sadly some of my friends do. I'm like, you're planning on going to the store. That seems quite exciting. Please keep me in the loop
Well, and
what aisle you're in.
that's a danger in and of itself.
Yeah, because now you're not at home.
And you've advertised the fact.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know.
going on vacation. Oh, just come over here in
Yeah.
Frankfurt and hook me up at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I just looked through my call list. 90% of it is to the bride.
yeah, and you have a really aggressive ringtone for her. I mean, it's like
No,
heavy
it's
metal
not. It's a
threat.
piano. It's a Billy Joel tune.
No,
Yeah, it
not
is.
the one I heard. It's like Eddie Vedder on cocaine.
That must have been Tuesday.
But so any other thoughts on social media? All right, if you had to give it a rating, positive or negative, what would you say?
Absolutely positive.
Why?
Because it brings people together who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, I think generally positive. Despite its negatives, one, it's inevitable, and it's also we can take the best out of it that we try and work.
So
to
free
get the
will
best
still
out of it
lets
as
us to take
possible.
that,
Yeah. And we can only do what we choose to do with it. So
I'm going to be on the fence. I'm going to say 50-50 because I think that the positives sometimes outweigh the negatives. It just depends on the day of the week. If I'm having a good day, I focus on the good stuff. If I'm having a bad day, focus on the bad stuff. So as Alex said, it's about what I choose and how I choose to interact with it.
Well, that's everything.
Right. Well, agreed. But there's more resources at our hands now than there's ever been before.
So that's an
If you're having a
overwhelming
bad
positive thing.
day, now for me, if I'm having a bad day, I look on Facebook or Instagram. I don't really do the Twitter that much, but I look on both those, and I'm like, I'm just looking for some positive stuff, something to make me smile, something to make me forget about what was bothering me. But sometimes other things get in there, and I'm like, I just put my phone away because that's a choice I can make.
Sure.
And if I'm going to say anything to anybody that's listening to this podcast, if you don't like social media, put your fucking phone away. Turn your damn computer off and engage with folks around you. It's still not going to be anything better because folks around you can be positive, they can be negative, they can be a drain, they can be a faucet, they can be whatever, right? That's what life looks like.
And it's literally not the end of the world if you uninstall it for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
How many people?
That I would agree with.
So have you all thought about just disengaging from social media?
No.
Oh,
Alex?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I basically did when I uninstalled Facebook because I only did it on my phone. And
But you're still on Twitter and
yeah, and actually, yes, I literally today thought about uninstalling it.
Yeah.
I have thought, I cannot lie, 30 times about getting rid of my Facebook account. But I didn't. Because I didn't.
Well, that's a good reason.
What am I going to do when I poop?
Well, there's that. There's Reddit.
There's only so much solitaire I can play. I have one golf game that's pretty fun.
Y'all need to take some fucking laxatives. If it takes that long, you can read War and Peace while you're taking a shit.
Don't you speak to my
Oh my god.
Don't you speak to my bowel movements. That's between me and my Jesus, my Kenny Loggins. You don't fucking speak to my bowel movements, fucker.
Good lord.
But I've thought about doing it because we all have that choice.
Yeah, we do.
But rarely do we ever make that choice.
And I don't see myself ever making that choice. I can communicate with people on the other side of the fucking world.
All right, one last thing before we close. I know what Root's response to this is going to be, and I admire that. But how hard do you think it is for relationships to last through social media? Honestly. Because I'm now dating. Alex is dating. He has a girlfriend. I do not. James Reeves, Facebook.com. Anyway, but how hard is it when you meet someone new, or and Root has an established relationship, and you're in many different groups, right? Mm-hmm. And you have many different people looking at your posts and things.
Sure. Sometimes they're flipping me off, but
Well, that's because
it's life.
They're humans. And then Alex, but you're not active on social media, so it's probably much easier for you. But when you look at your girlfriend's social media, and I look at my girl, if I meet a girl, James Reeves, Facebook.com. If I meet a girl, trim for James.
No.
Let's go out and get some trim for James.
We don't need that. No.
That's so good. It's such a really good jingle.
Oh, Jesus.
But when you look at someone else's and how you judge them,
Well, you see, now I'm in a radically different place than you guys.
you're on the left side of the table.
I'm not looking for any kind of romantic hookup there.
No, you're not.
No.
And you have been. I really admire the way you approach all of that. You do an amazing job, better than anybody I've ever met.
Well, I think I appreciate that.
No, you should.
Yeah.
That's not a compliment I give out very often. So you do a really good job at that.
The people that I've met, whether on the political side or the military side or dachshund side or whatever the interest happens to be,
Small dog, long torso
Oh,
side. Yeah.
half a dog high, dog and a half long. That's what we say.
Oh, he knew that. He has practiced that.
But these are people that I have a shared interest with,
Yeah.
and sometimes shared experiences with, and so that is what drives our relationship. It isn't a desire to have something more than that.
Different than what is apparent to everyone in the group.
You know, a relationship
Sure.
that's based on more than just some common physical interest or experience.
Fort Wayne.
Man, I cannot get away from that one.
You can't. You cannot. It's all about Indiana because that's where the freaks go. Alex,
I'm going to have the boys listen to this.
what do you think? I mean,
I don't know. I think
how hard is it now to have a relationship with social media?
I don't know. It can show exactly if a person is being honest on there about who they are, then it can.
And no one does.
Then it can show a lot of who
wouldn't
they
go
are. And yeah, I get what you mean. But at the same time, yes, there can be totally be some red flags on there that are like, no way, that's scary. But at the same time, I don't know. I think if you can also tell when someone's being sane on there,
And that's welcomed.
and that's welcome.
And I'll be honest, anytime I talk to a girl, I'm like, here's my social media. This is who I am. And I hope you all would see that in my feed.
Sure. Yep.
Is that I try to be positive, I try to be funny. If I'm having a bad day, you will never know it on social media.
Yeah, I will, but
Well,
nobody
but
else will.
It's because I'll shoot you a message going, fucker, it's a bad day. I'm going to take somebody's ass out if this shit keeps up.
Walk me off the ledge.
Yeah. I go on, come down here and get me home somehow. But when you see how people present themselves, and then the people that respond, and what they're trying to cater to, what they're trying to bring out in other folk, you're like, because there's red flags. If I see a lady post something on Facebook, and she gets 300 likes by all dudes, I'm thinking, is she posting that to have a new picture on Facebook? Or is she posting that to get 300 likes by dudes? Am I okay with that? Am I not okay with that? The same thing she would think about me.
Yeah.
She looks on my Facebook page. I've got 500 friends, and 480 of them are hot women.
I've got a buddy.
Yeah,
I've
that's what I am.
I've got a buddy. He's a former drill sergeant, and now he's something of a social media presence in the military community. And younger guy, you know, physically fit. This
The
dude,
fact that you're checking him out in his picture,
Yeah,
he has got a six-pack ab is to die for.
Met in northern Indiana.
former drill sergeant, but not that former.
Can't
okay?
wait to see you in Fort Wayne there, soldier.
This dude can post a picture of him sitting in his fucking car,
And it's so
and
fucking
all
hot.
the fucking chicks come on board.
And Root
No,
over in the sidelines going, pick me! Pick me!
I'll call him out elsewhere.
Oh, I'm sure you will this weekend.
No, that's not this one.
They shut down most of those rest stops.
It's that group.
Oh.
Awesome shit my drill sergeant said. That's where I'll call him out in the underground.
Did you hear what Alex said?
No.
They shut down those rest stops. He doesn't say much, but when he does,
When it does, it counts. I like your friend.
So please finish your thought.
Well,
while we tear you apart.
I understand where you're
I turned
coming
into
from.
Huckleberry Hound all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
you did. Yeah, you did. I understand your point.
It's
If
really tough.
if you're looking at it, if you're actively searching for that kind of relationship, man, there are just too many things that social media, which is predominantly text based, right? You could put up a picture of anybody and say this is me if you don't have a profile pic, right? One of the things that I have always appreciated about this medium, whether it goes all the way back to IRC or BBS's, all the way up to today, where now we have movies and everything else you can post online, is words mean things. And I'm not distracted by the facial tic or the roll of the eyes or something like that. If I am confused or wonder if what you typed isn't what you meant, well, that's on me to ask that question. the words mean things.
Well, you have to watch the emoticons because evidently, I will tell you what, I have gotten so fucking in trouble with an emoticon. With
Yeah, you
girls.
clicked the wrong one at the
No,
wrong
no,
time.
I clicked the one I wanted to. I meant it. And I sent a heart to a girl, and the girl I was with lost her fucking mind because I loved her comment. And it may be in something
Yeah.
really, really heartfelt, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And she's like, why are you sending her a heart comment? Do you have something else going on? I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and break up now.
Yeah, save us all the trouble.
Because you have a lot of extra time that you're using on trolling me on the Facebook.
Well, and
I don't know what the damn emoticons mean. I'm like, I love that. I hate that. That's sad. Good on you. I don't know what that means. I don't know what all that shit means. I don't care.
I've said before that I said something before. Now it just flew out of my head.
Well, you've said a lot of things before.
I've said a lot of
Alex,
things
please
before.
save him because he is
just-
spinning out of control.
It just flew
I'm
right
good.
out of my
I'm
pocket.
good.
But no. What I've had happen, and I really appreciate this young lady that did this to me, is I met a girl on it was on Twitter or Bumble
Pornhub,
or
probably. Was it Pornhub?
It wasn't Grindr because it was a girl fucker. So I've got that up on you, Fort Wayne. And I was really, really excited about getting a chance to get to know her more. And I was sitting in my dad's house, and I was texting her, and she texted me, and she said, I just looked up your social media page. I'm really disappointed. I don't know that we need to keep talking.
Oh,
And I'm like, what the fuck have I posted on social media? So I went back and looked, and I'm like, I can see what she's saying because I was really graphic. I was within the standards of whatever medium I was using, but I was still really graphic and very suggestive, but that was back when I was married, and I knew my ex was okay with that. And then she said, I'm like, listen, that's not who I am. That's not who I want to represent myself to be. She goes, do you want your kids to see that someday? Then don't do it. And that was a great,
valid.
oh my God, it was a revelation for me. And I went back and deleted everything that I could find that I had posted. And I'm like, that's not who I am. That's not what I want to be represented as. But also going through a divorce, you change who you are and who you want other people to see. Because before you were a person that was that way, but in a relationship.
Right.
When you become that way solo, that's a different version.
that's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really, and she's still my friend on Facebook, and I really cherish what she said because it changed how I interacted on a social media platform.
I remember what I said. I've
God.
I've said it before.
Well, that just screwed the fuck out of my little home.
No, it didn't. It
all
didn't. I've said it before on the show. If I go home tonight and the bride is gone because she's fed up with my bullshit,
Nobody would blame her.
no, they wouldn't. But okay.
Pause for
But
effect.
I would be single the rest of my days because so many of these relationships now are revolve around this social media connectivity. And
Because you have to realize what somebody's risking by getting into a relationship possibly with somebody at our age. Because they want to look and see, are you a racist? Are you misogynist? You know, how do you treat other people? How do you represent yourself, to social, to everyone around you?
right, but
And I get that because from a lady's side, it's about safety.
going back in my timeline,
Yeah.
I own everything that I have ever posted. I'm not going to have that picked apart. You know, if you have a problem with something you find back there, and there's some bad shit back there, but I was
there's
pissed.
some bad shit here.
Yeah.
You scared me twice tonight.
So you know,
Alex is putting a scarf away and going the fuck home.
if you want to go that far back, and then cherry pick out of that
Yeah.
and bring it back and challenge me with it, I'm going to give you the finger.
And I see that now, but I really appreciated her
Oh,
perspective.
absolutely.
In saying
Absolutely.
that. And if I could talk to her today, I would say thank you, because at some point my kids will
I think
read
you
this.
just did.
My kids will read it. And how are they going to look at their dad? Are they going to look at their dad as a horn dog that posts the stuff that's inappropriate and around the edge of the Facebook standards?
Community standards.
Yeah. Or are they going to look at somebody and go, you know what, he tried to make somebody smile today. Or he said something funny to somebody else, and it wasn't suggestive. I mean, I can be suggestive.
No.
Right, I know, it's crazy.
It's shocking.
Yeah. Trim for James.
Oh,
Trim
God,
for
that
James.
just walked
Let's
right
go
into
out and get some trim for James. But I think it's tough. I think we would all agree it's tough. If you are jealous, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
If you look back into someone else's past, it's not going to work.
Right.
You have to look at who they are today and who they want to be tomorrow.
Or
That's the only way it works.
That's it.
And folks, if you're listening, if you're looking back, it's not going to work because you're looking for reasons to not trust and not give in to this person.
Or have the honest conversation.
Yeah, ask questions.
Ask
sure.
questions honestly.
What were you thinking here?
Yeah.
Well, I was drunk and I was pooping at 2 a.m.
Right.
And somebody else posted it. Lloyd told me to post it. And I said, well, sure.
Root said, I didn't have any balls if I didn't post this.
Right. You're a pussy if you don't post it. Fucker, I posted it. Boom. And then 2 years later, you have a problem with it.
James is running for governor.
I had a goatee and a burr haircut. And you're asking me about what I was doing back then. I now have a pompadour with a beard. So I think it's suffice to say that social media has its challenges and its rewards. It's all about how we interact with it. Fair?
Yeah. And yeah, I still say social media is overwhelmingly a positive influence. I think what we hear and what we see on social media again and in media are those horrendous stories of people just being assholes. But people are going to be an asshole you walk down the street. People are generally assholes, my opinion.
No,
Yeah.
they're assholes behind the scenes.
No,
But on social media, they're assholes to your face.
I think generally people, I'm an asshole.
Well, it's because you don't get all the basement money.
You
You are. I would agree. You are an asshole.
And I do temper that in my.
Would you agree, Alex?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see? It's common knowledge.
The
It's
asshole
common
would
knowledge.
like a table.
The bride would tell you this, but
Assholes in Kroger.
I temper that in my day-to-day activities as best I can
I don't know that.
until they piss me off.
And pissing you off means good morning, Root.
It can. It can.
So, Alex, overall, social media, positive or negative?
I already answered this.
Answer it again, fucker.
He's trying to wrap up the
I'm
show.
wrapping it up, and now you're giving me issues.
If you give him another chance to pour any more in that glass, we're in trouble. We'll be here all damn night.
Yeah, when you got a bottled and bond bottle that is nearly empty, it's a good evening.
It is. Yes, Jesus.
yeah.
Yes, Kenny Loggins.
Generally speaking, positive.
You know, I'm going to be on the fence here.
I think didn't he already say that?
I did
think
say
he already
that,
said
but even with our conversation,
wasn't that an hour ago? I think it was an hour ago.
I'm going to go on and say, fuck you. And fuck Scarf Boy down there. I still think it's what you put into it, what you look for.
That's with everything.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But here's the great thing about social media. You can either plug in or plug out. It's up to you. If you put your phone down, put your computer away, they can't affect you. Social media cannot affect you. If you're in a new relationship, it doesn't have to be affected by social media. It's about what value you give to what you see. Fair?
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
If you don't give it any credence other than it's fucking social media, nobody is who they really are on that shit. Right? If I'm having a bad day and I post some sort of stupid ass meme, that ain't who I am. It's just what I saw and thought it would be funny to share with other people. So, social media, it's all about what you make of it. Yes?
Absolutely. Well, just like everything else. Yep.
Yep.
Alex? Thanks for listening to us tonight.
He finally found a way to get to the end.
No, just if you're available 2 weeks from now, Fort Wayne, Indiana,
no.
You'll find Ruth up there